All right, this is the sub-plan for my IB 20th Century World Topics class. These sub-plans are for Tuesday, November 20th, 2018. Remember, we are on an early release schedule, so you only have an hour to get things done, so do not waste time. When the sub is taking attendance, if this is first block, the sub attendance person and the agenda person, go ahead and see if you can get out of class to ask Mr. Grow and Mr. Lawless if you can borrow their laptops. You should also return the laptops with 5 minutes remaining at the end of the period. Fourth block, you would want to ask Mr. Grow and Miss Seiler. Miss Seiler is located in room 216. If you can borrow the laptops. Once again, the same people should return those laptops with 5 minutes to go at the end of the period. So the final IA workday, a couple of things here. The final draft date is December 7th at 7:20 a.m. I'm expecting 2 forms of submission, a hard copy by 7:20 a.m. and an electronic copy by that deadline as well. So today, the steps of the peer review circuit, you have a scope check, a logic check, you're looking at narrative and analytical statements, citation and bibliography, grammar and wording, and then finally the peer review grading. You should have comments, critiques, and recommendations for each step of the circuit done by the end of class today. And between now and December 7th, you should revise and finalize all sections. This includes your conclusion in Section 2. Section 3 will be taken care of in class. And if you are done with, well, no, it should be taken care of in class. One thing to look for is a link for appointment slots after the 2 weeks after Thanksgiving leading up to the 7th. I will be hosting some IA meetings by appointments, and they will be 15-minute meetings in the morning, during lunch, and after school. These are 15-minute meetings that you would sign up through Google Calendar, and I would recommend when you sign up for this meeting, I would recommend that you have a game plan of what you want to discuss, whether it be looking at one example from Section 1, whether it be looking at what you feel like is your strongest or weakest perspective for Section 2, or any other general questions you have, so that way we can use your time effectively. But be on the lookout for that. I have also sent out the link for the spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is for your essay scores for Unit 1, so you should have that information as well. All right, so the peer review circuit, the reason why we have you use the laptops is because if you go to my Canvas page, you'll look up the History IA peer review circuit, and then you would click on the peer review Google Doc link. It's going to ask you to create a copy of that link, all right, or a copy of that document. So go ahead and make a copy of that, and then you can edit it as you wish. A couple things here that I want to point out is that I am expecting you to submit this peer review circuit document with your final draft. So this should be filled out. You should have initials or a signature as far as who did the peer review, and everything should be filled out with this. You need that. That will count as a minor grade. So you're going to submit that with your final draft of the IA. If the person is going to make comments and mark up your, let's say you have a hard copy of the IA, and the person's, they mark up and make comments on the hard copy, but they don't use a digital copy, so the same rule applies. You would go ahead and submit the hard copy with that person's signature, demonstrating that you did take part in the peer review process. So that's basically it. Just making sure. Oh, and if you do a digital, peer review, what you would do so you can get around that is when you go to the final draft, make a copy of your rough draft, and then you would submit to me 3 things. You would submit to me your final draft of the IA, labeled as such, final draft of the IA. You would submit to me your rough draft with the person's comments and markings on it, and you would submit to me the peer review circuit. So you would actually, if everything's done electronically, you would submit to me 3 separate Google documents. If it's done via hard copy, you would submit to me a hard copy draft of your IA. You would submit to me a hard copy, rough draft of your IA with that person's comments and markings on it, and then you're good to go. If you have any questions about those things, please don't hesitate to shoot me a remind, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thanks.